So, the gaming conference week or the E3 week, whatever you want to call it, just ended, and there was some big announcements during these events. And it's looking like 2026 is going to be a bad time for all of our wallets. We got multiple smaller and bigger conferences this week, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the bigger conferences. You know them, you love them, and they are Sony State of Play, Xbox Game Showcase, and Summer Games Fest. All three were pretty packed with bangers except for the Xbox conference. It was just okay. Could have been better, and that's coming from an old Xbox fanboy. The Xbot, if you will. But man, so many amazing looking games were at this thing. So I'm going to be talking about the ones that really stuck out, and briefly talking about smaller games. And when I say smaller, I'm talking about non-AAA titles, indie titles, or games from lesser known studios. So let's jump into it with the bangers first. These are the big boys that had the crowd roaring. Starting off with a crazy game from Sony State of Play, and that game was a game that was revealed 4 years ago from the boys over at Capcom. This game has you on a space base. And at first, it really fooled me, because I thought this was a fucking AI commercial. And I kind of zoned out for a second. But yeah, you're just doing a space base, trying to figure out what's going on, and contact somebody on Earth. And you got this little android girl helping you out named Diana. Diana can also patch you up when you're injured. You got these crazy robots attacking you, a jetpack, and a little one helping you hack robots in combat. And I think identifying their weak points. It seems pretty dope and is coming out in 2026. Apparently. Next up, there was one surprise during the State of Play. There were other great looking games at that conference too, like Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, which looked insane. Silent Hill F was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't very scary. Creepy maybe? But scary, I just don't see it. And Mortal Kombat is getting a Legacy Collection, confirmed the first 3 games are coming, and more. But the game I'm talking about right now is 007 First Light. This is another big one that dropped during that event. First time we're seeing the game and it's being shown at a PlayStation event. Let's just hope it's not an exclusive. It's being developed by IO Interactive, the studio behind the Hitman games. This seemingly fast-paced action-adventure spy game in which IO Interactive does well with Assassin's games, so I have no doubt that they're going to nail this one. I did notice something was off. Is it just me or does James Bond seem like an asshole in this game? Maybe he's always been an asshole, I can't tell. My experience with 007 is from playing GoldenEye for the 64. I'm not really a 007 fan, but if it's anything like the Hitman games, I'm going to be stuck on this game for a while. But then we get a look at Nioh 3. Nioh games are known as some of the hardest soul-like games you can play. These games are packed with insanely crazy enemies and gore-filled combat, stuffed in the open area level design. Being able to change from Shogun to ninja style combat, and still having living weapons and more. Also, the demo for the game is on PlayStation 5 now for anybody interested in playing it. Then we got the real show stealer, or at least for me anyway, as a Marvel vs. Capcom fan. We got a look at the new 4v4 fighting game from Marvel Studios, Sony, and most importantly, Arc System Studios, Marvel Tokyo. Arc System Studios is most famously known for Dragon Ball FighterZ and Guilty Gear games, so they mostly make fighting games. But this game looks sick. This game is going to be insane, I can't wait. In 4 vs 4 fights, like how is that supposed to work? I'm sure there will be 3 vs 3, but I'm more interested in figuring out how 4 vs 4 works. And the characters. The best thing about Marvel is there's so many characters to choose from. There's like 8 we've seen in the trailer, but I hope there's at least 36 with room for DLC characters. Characters I hope to see in the game gotta be Cyclops, Moon Knight or Blade, Thor or Beta Ray Bill, and of course we're getting Wolverine, but maybe throw Loki in there, and definitely Deadpool. I main Deadpool in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, so he needs to be in this game. Onto the Xbox Showcase. They started to show off for the Outer Worlds 2 by Obsidian Entertainment. Now if you've been paying attention to Avowed and its rollout, you know a certain game director was saying some pretty controversial shit, and which had them in some deep water. Was saying things like he changed some things up to piss off Elon Musk, and just some really woke, weird shit. He left Obsidian after 12 years of working there, but I can imagine a lot of people still working there share his same viewpoints. So maybe wait until after reviews come out for this game before picking it up? At the Xbox event, they showed us for the first time the new handheld console, the Xbox ROG Ally. Now, there is already an ROG Ally out there. I remember seeing one at a Best Buy and thinking of buying it over the Steam Deck, but the price at the time, and I don't know if it's still the same, was $600. And yep, the Asus version is still 650 bucks. So, but Xbox has its own version now, and it has a 7-inch screen that can play games in 1080p and get up to 120 frames per second. It comes with up to 512 gigabytes of storage or 1 terabyte, depending on what version you get. There's 2 versions. It is looking to drop sometime this holiday season. It doesn't exactly have a full release date yet, and we don't know how much it costs yet, but it's speculated that it's going to cost anywhere between $400 and $600. Now, for me anyway, there wasn't much for me at the Xbox Game Showcase. There was Ninja Gaiden 4, which I already seen, and this other weird game where you play as a member of a SWAT team or special forces and a blonde girl running around. Look, I don't know. But there was an announcement for Call of Duty Black Ops 7, and I was like, what? How many fucking Call of Duty Black Ops games are there? And didn't Black Ops 6 come out 6 to 7 months ago? But yep, there's another one coming later this year. Couldn't even name it something else, but I guess they didn't need to. We already know what the deal is with this franchise anyway. Yearly releases, expensive skins, battle passes, and more. At this point, it is what it is. Okay, now on to Summer's Games Fest, and I'm going to start this off with a personal favorite game showing off this week, and one that I'm mostly excited for to come out. Well, really it's a tie between this and the next game, but this game is for sure to be a banger. I just know it. And the game is Stranger Than Heaven, by the studio that make the Yakuza games, or now known as the Like a Dragon series. I am a fan of the Yakuza games, my favorite being the spin-offs Judgment and the sequel Lost Judgment. And this looked to be just as crazy, or if not more crazy, than any of those other games. Especially since the first trailer took place in 1915, and the second took place in 1943. So it seems that this game will either have multiple protagonists, or the game will span multiple decades. I just wish we had a release date for the game. Next game, the show stealer for this conference was of course Resident Evil Requiem, or Resident Evil 9. And we got a release date, and it comes out early next year. Again, 2026 is going to hurt all of our wallets. This game follows Grace Ashcroft, investigative reporter Alyssa Ashcroft's daughter. In a Resident Evil spin-off game, Alyssa was seen to be in the Raccoon City outbreak and was affected but took the Daylight vaccine, and that vaccine is considered to be rare and can stop viral progression entirely, and could have been passed down to Grace, which means her body might be able to fight off infections caused by the T-virus, which is dope, and some of the monsters in the trailer freaked me the fuck out. I kinda wanna play it, but I also know that I'm too chicken shit to make it through one sitting, or even 1 month to be honest, of playing this game. Still going to pick it up just so it can be sitting in my Steam library. You know, I still haven't finished the Resident Evil 2 remake because that garage level freaks me out. But anyway. And last but not least, Atomic Hearts 2. A real crazy ass futuristic sci-fi first person shooter with freaky ass robots, explosions, powers, and weird alien monsters. It just seems like a whole lot of fun. I briefly played the first game and had a good time, so I'm looking forward to playing this one. Also, there's an MMO coming out that takes place in that universe, the Atomic Hearts universe that is. I'm guessing you're on this gigantic floating cube that popped up in the sky one day, and there's a lot of shooting, a lot of explosions, and other shit. Seems like a good time. But those are all the games that stole the week, but there was a couple great seeming games presented at all 3 events, and I'm going to briefly talk about those. Starting with Gears of War E-Day, this game was shown for the first time during an Xbox event a little while ago, and it looks like a return to the same old fun, brutal, gory Gears of War, and I know it's going to be on Game Pass, so I'll be trying it, or at least playing through the story and moving on. Talking about brutal, what about the heavy metal Souls-like with Mortal Shell 2? When I seen this, I was like, damn, this game looks insane. I'm really looking forward to this coming out. I'm always down for another Souls-like, and this one looks dope. On to Death Stranding 2, and what can I say? It's weird as usual, and I don't fully understand why people like it, but on the other hand, maybe it's just not for me. It's just too random and weird. I don't understand why it's so fucking random, but anyway, I kinda assuming that Death Stranding 2 would be like the first Death Stranding game, and I didn't play too much of that anyway, so if you're a fan of the game, and never mind me and enjoy your game. No matter how random it may seem, I kinda wish we got that Silent Hills game instead, but whatever. There's a couple smaller games at these events that caught my eye while watching, and I think you might like them as well. These games are like from indie developers or lesser known studios or just lesser known IPs. Starting off with the Liza P DLC that shadow dropped the day of Summer Games Fest called Overture, which is a prequel to the events of Liza P. Then we got this interesting pirate game, and I'm kind of curious if you think this is a Sea of Thieves competitor. This was shown during the PlayStation State of Play, so I'm wondering if this is what it is meant to be. All in all, it still seems pretty fun. Another crazy looking game was this MMO called Chrono Odyssey. Seems like people were waiting for it, but I never heard of it. But I see there was a trailer that dropped 2 years ago. Either way, it's finally dropping soon, speculated in Q4 of 2025. Next is this cool looking game with this old cartoon looking vibe, Into the Unwell. This one caught my eye maybe because of the old cartoon aesthetic and story, and this cartoon cat seemingly addicted to alcohol, even selling his own tooth for a beer, then passed out in his own vomit. Even with this cartoon aesthetic, there's some dark themes in this game, and I can't wait to see it in action. Then we got a new Scott Pilgrim game with Scott Pilgrim X, and an Onimusha game coming out with Onimusha Way of the Sword. A couple of these beautiful looking games too with Outer Worlds and Sword of the Sea. Code Vein has a sequel coming out in 2026, and there's this Medieval Knight game narrated by Tom Hardy coming out as well. Solid lineup of games we are getting probably soon. Let's be real, some of these games are going to be delayed, some will never come out, but there are so many games coming out that we'll be entertained for a long while. I probably will never find enough time to play these games, but if I missed any of the games, leave a comment down below and I'll catch you the next time.